All right. Well, we're going to do a quick video on aluminum wheels for RVs. I ran into a little situation this week where um, we actually had brought one in for service, and we had a driver's side rear backing plate that was pumped full of grease from the OEM, and so we had changed backing plate, put the wheel on, and so our policy here at Shelburne RV is once we put a rim on, obviously got to torque that. So we torqued it to 120 foot-pounds, and then I got a phone call yesterday that the customer was on the side of the road and that he had lost a wheel going down the interstate, and we had just worked on it. So um, went down there to get the customer off the road. We got everything going, and come to find out it was actually the wheel in front of the one that we had actually worked on that had come off, and he had lost the wheel that hit a car going down the interstate. So, the question being posed is, what torque specs do aluminum rims need to be torqued to? And then, the other question is what frequency? Now, obviously, I went online and did a lot of looking. There's lots of different manufacturers that give torque specs for aluminum wheels, and I started looking. Of course, the other question was at what intervals, and so this is the one I actually found online, and you can see torque specs for 14, 15, 16-inch wheels, aluminum and steel, and typical 16-inch should be torqued between 110 and 120 foot-pounds on aluminum rims. And just so happens this manufacturer I looked at sells new trailers, and so their recommendation is check and retorque lug nuts after 10, 25, and 50 miles, and periodically check during regular service intervals. Now, what is regular service intervals? And so I really didn't know that. And I've been looking online trying to see if anybody had any kind of suggestions on, what's a regular service interval. So I didn't have that. I couldn't find that answer. So I decided to call our friends down at Village Tire here in Cleveland, and I got to talking to Mr. Keith about that. And we had a long conversation about what happened and what the recommendations are. And now Mr. Keith down there, when he sells a set of aluminum rims on a customer's vehicle, he asks them to come back after 25 miles, so that they can recheck the torque. Now, 25 miles for me is from here to Chattanooga and back, or here in Chattanooga, from here to Chattanooga. So a lot of times when the campers leave, it's probably going to be a lot longer than 25 miles before I'm ever going to see them again. Now, I will tell you the majority of the RVers that I deal with typically have torque wrenches, and they understand aluminum it can be tricky. So a lot of them do carry torque wrenches in their RVs, and they're checking them. But again, what comes down to a normal service interval, and Keith and I had the long conversation about that, and he still feels like every 25 miles is the correct interval for checking those rims. Now, when we take a rim off and put it back on, we're looking at the face of the aluminum rim that actually faces the drum, and we're going to make sure that that's clean, along with the face of the drum is clean. And then again, when you torque that down to the 120 pounds, the reason we're rechecking that at 25 is because we want to ensure that torque is being maintained. And so Keith and I kind of came to the same agreement that, if you guys are going down the road and you're going to check these things, if you go out there and put a torque wrench on it, and you go out there and torque it and it still moves, then we are not maintaining that 120 foot-pounds of torque. So we may need to check that at 25. We may need to check that at 50. If we're still not maintaining it, let's recheck it at 75. But if that aluminum rim is doing its job and is holding correctly, and the lug nuts are holding correctly, then that drum and that rim should maintain that torque, because that's the problem is, with the aluminum going down the road, heat, obviously, all that affects that, and then if we're not maintaining that torque, that's when the wheel obviously is going to come off. And so Keith said, really need to be maintaining those so they maintain that torque. So 25, 50, 75, and then after that, it especially because the roads in America are just great at this point. Maybe we need to check them every 500 miles, and recheck that. So just some questions that I had is, as far as what is a correct torque, what is a correct interval, and I think that's probably a good, safe way to be, to get a good heavy duty 1/2-inch torque wrench, that you guys can be out there at regular intervals, 500 miles, 1,000 miles. Now if I go out there at 500 miles and it's maintaining that torque, I may go 1,000 miles next time. But definitely something that would be good, you guys as customers, to make sure if you're pulling those type of campers. Torque wrenches are not that expensive, so I would highly recommend getting that in there and then just double checking that that torque is maintaining. That's the key. So hopefully that's a good little piece of knowledge right there. We're going to have to rethink how we are educating the customers as far as torquing them and testing them, and then again on intervals. So on our part, we're going to be educating a little bit better as far as interval size. But hopefully that's a good little video, guys. I appreciate everybody watching. Please check us out for all our other videos. Have a good day.